Do you and your partner keep having the same argument over and over and over and feeling like we just can't come to a resolution? Well, stay tuned because today I'm going to be talking about ways to fight fair and what you should be avoiding when you're having a conflict with your partner. One of the first things that I teach couples that I work with is how to fight fairly. In relationships, we're always going to have conflict. And so I'm not necessarily worried about the couples who tend to have more conflict. I'm more worried about the couples who say, we never fight. Because to me, that means that there's a whole lot of things that aren't being said. I have about 18 rules that I tend to go over with the clients that I'm working with in terms of fair fighting. And so this is going to be a part of a series of videos that I'm going to be doing on the topic of fair fighting. Fair fighting is really important. You're going to have conflict with your partner. And so in order to do it effectively, there's a few things that you need to remember when you're engaging in a conflict. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can fight fairly with your partner and what you can avoid when you're in a conflict. The first rule for fair fighting is that fights should be held in order to reach a solution. So if you insist on winning, you're always going to lose. The second rule for fair fighting is that one or each partner may refuse to fight. However, if it is important enough for one person to bring up, then it's important enough to fight about. It's important to determine when you feel flooded or overwhelmed with emotion or anger, and know that this is the boundary that you don't want to cross when you engage in a conflict. So if you're feeling flooded, then that's when you need to talk to your partner about a timeout and then make an appointment to have the conflict or discussion at a later time when you're feeling more level-headed. The next rule is that you can make a complaint about your partner's behavior, which is what they do, but not about their personality or who they are. You want to fight about one thing at a time and don't have what I call a kitchen sink argument. That's when you start to bring up one issue and then you also did this last week and the week before and this is what happened 2 weeks ago. Oh, and then that reminds me of your mom and all of the conflict that we have with her. No, you need to focus on one point, reach a resolution, and then move on to the next point. So if during your conflict something else comes up, that's fine. Just take note of it, remember to talk about it later, or after you've reached a resolution about the first issue, come back and revisit that next thing and find a resolution to that. So remember, one thing at a time. The next rule for fair fighting is don't make speeches. State your complaint and allow your partner to respond. You know, when I was a kid, my parents were never ones for lectures, but I did have a best friend, and man, we got lectured by her dad so many times. And I just remember sitting there feeling small and bored and wondering, like, when is this guy gonna stop talking? My eyes would go across and it was just so annoying. After the first, minute or so, I would totally tune out. I didn't hear anything that he said. And so that's the same thing with your partner. If you're gonna have a lecture, they're not gonna be willing to listen and to be adaptable or amenable to change if you're just sitting there lecturing for minutes and hours on end about one particular issue. Stick to the issue, name your complaint, ask for what you need from your partner, and then allow your partner an opportunity to respond, and then you guys can move on. The next rule for fair fighting is something that probably seems obvious, but don't talk over each other. When you're having a conversation and it starts to get heated and you're talking over one another, you can't hear or think about your response if your partner's talking over you. So avoid talking over each other, take turns having the time to talk and having conversation. The next thing that you want to remember when you're fighting with your partner is that if the issue is a matter of fact, then that's something that you can fact check, right? If someone says, I sent you a text message at this time, pull up the text record, check the time. But if something is a matter of opinion, that's when you have to take the time to recognize that you're not always going to have the same opinion as your partner. It's okay to disagree. And at this point, can you agree to disagree? Be sure to tune into my next video where I'll be discussing more rules for fair fighting. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video in this upcoming series of rules for fair fighting. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.